not fine. I can't move the mountains. I can't make the flowers bloom. I can't take another night up in my room waiting on a miracle. I can't heal what's broken. Can't control the morning rain or a hurricane. Can't keep down the unspoken, invisible pain. Always waiting on a miracle, a miracle. Always walking alone. Always wanting for more. Like I'm still at that door, longing to shine. Like all of you shine. All I need is a change. All I need is a chance. All I know is I can stand on the side. Open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes. I would move the mountains, make new trees and flowers grow. Someone please just let me know, where do I go? I am waiting on a miracle, a miracle. I would heal what's broken, show this family something new, who I am inside, so what can I do? I'm sick of waiting on a miracle, so here I go. I am ready, come on, I am ready. I've been patient and steadfast and steady. Bless me now as you blessed us all those years ago when you gave us a miracle. Am I too late for a miracle?
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Denise Cawley. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm delighted to be with you. Come on in. Friday, I spent the day in the beautiful archives reading the history of your church and many details from the time that Reverend Carolyn Bartlett Crane was your minister. I study Reverend Marian Murdoch, who left her ministry abruptly here in 1890, right after she'd been assigned to be the co-minister with Reverend Crane. She only stayed about a year or so because she fell in love with a visitor who'd come over from the Methodist Church, whose name was Florence Buck, to hear what Unitarianism was all about. And Miss Buck heard the words from the pulpit and the words from Reverend Marian, and her life was changed forever, as was our faith. And these women were dedicated, all these women, including Reverend Carolyn Bartlett Crane, to the health and well-being of society. And some of you may recall that I preached virtually on that story, which is not what I'm preaching about today, during pandemic, vowing to come here again in person when it was healthy, so that I could go live into the archives here. And so this weekend I got to do just that, thanks to Reverend Rachel. So I'm delighted to be with you. I also brought with me some chalice jewelry. If you're interested, I'll be selling that in the lobby later, and you can ask me questions about those pioneering women if that was really where your heart was, or about any of the things in today's sermon. So all of these women cared so much about children and education and health and just the ills of society. And it is in that spirit, that amazing spirit of pioneering and loving democracy and caring and, frankly, fierce feminism. These women were fierce, they were bold. That I will introduce you today to the tenets of reproductive justice. Now, you may think you know what that is, but reproductive justice is a specific term coined 30 years ago by Black women who were frustrated with America's justice leaders who did not see these issues as human rights. And our faith calls us to be advocates of these rights. All reproductive decisions are sacred, all of them. People wrestling with the realities of their life and limiting their access to decisions about their bodies, their health care, their education, their safety takes away the sanctity of life. So those affected by shaping the narrative and policy often identify different contexts. It's often done to the least affected, controlling the most impacted. So stigma is not about protecting life, but a sense of entitlement over someone else's body. Framing abortion as a sin furthers the harm and furthers the violence. A quote you're going to hear a couple times today was Reverend Dr. Marie Fortune said, "Faith will either be a hindrance or a help to individuals facing violence. It will not be neutral." Today I am here to urge you in the name of our Unitarian Universalism to help to change the world and achieve reproductive justice.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to People's Church. Whether this is your first time at People's Church, or you come every Sunday, or anywhere in between, I welcome you. This morning we have with us Reverend Denise. She has served congregations in Oregon, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and provided spiritual and emotional support chaplaincy at Planned Parenthood. She worked in nonprofit management for more than 20 years, where her gifts of fundraising, media, and advocacy shone. Rev D, as many call her, has been a pivotal player in diversity, inclusion, marriage equality, and voting rights for over 2 decades. Rev Denise brings visual arts, interactive rituals, and dramatic storytelling into her ministry. Art making is a vivid part of her spiritual practice, too. She lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and is a graduate of Meadville-Lombard Theological School in Chicago. She is trained in interim ministry, change management, media, and trauma-informed care. Welcome, Rev D. Welcome, everyone. So, for some announcements, next Sunday, following the service, is our first Inquirers Series class. This is our series of classes designed for newcomers, but open to everyone. The first session is a Q&A with Rev Rachel. Please sign up online or be in contact with the church office. We don't have many people signed up yet and would love to have you with us. And now, Rick Johnson has an announcement.
Good morning. How many Unitarians does it take to write a single announcement? In this case, 3. 2 to write it and 1 to read it. And here it is. On Thursday, October 24th, that'll be in about 2 weeks, at 7 p.m., is the 2024 Isaac Public Meeting. Isaac is the congregation-based community organizing group that we are a part of. This event is at Galilee Baptist Church. Isaac family members, congregations, clergy, partners, community members, public officials, candidates, and community leaders will stand together to collectively work for policy and practices infused with love, hope, equity, and abundance. The more people attend this meeting, the better able we will be able to hold public officials accountable for the promises they make. And this also might be a good antidote for the pre-election anxiety that we'll all be having. Because when you go to an Isaac meeting, you always feel better after it's over. So if you're interested in coming, and I hope you are, you can see this good lady here, Mary Lewis, in the foyer, and she will sign you up. Thank you.
And now we have an announcement from Jen Rice.
Yeah, I'm Jen, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit off the cuff about the bazaar, particularly about pasty making. My son is now at Michigan Tech, and so he's in pasty land, and through our visits in the last year, I definitely have tasted a lot of them from different places, and I will say that People's Church's pasties really hold their own. Like, they're actually better than some of the ones I've gotten in the UP. So, yay us. My daughter Olive and I, she's a high schooler at Kalamazoo Central, have been doing pasty making for the last 3 years. She was going to be here today, but she had a very busy marching band competitions this week. She's exhausted. So. We come on Saturday mornings and help us roll out the dough, assemble the pasties, and we always have a good time. I'm going to tell you what I think are the 3 B's of pasty making: the basics, the benefits, and what you need to bring. So if you want to sign up on a Saturday, which next Saturday we still have a couple slots open, and the following Saturday we have, I think, 3 slots open, and then there's lots of open space in the upcoming weeks. You can find that information to sign up on the website or out, I believe, in the foyer as well. The basics are you show up on Saturday morning, and there are people who start cooking and are mixing together the stuffing, and then there are people who start rolling out dough into circles, and we cut them to the right size, and then you load them up and crimp them closed, and they get baked. I will say it doesn't sound super hard, but getting the right amount of filling and crimping it so they don't pop open in the oven is a little tricky. And I know I'm biased, but my daughter Olive is like one of the best. Bob has even said that. So she is good. He has asked her to give tutorials. So, but that's not to scare you off. That's fine. There's other things you can do too, and there's lots of people to help out. So that's the basics of a Saturday. There's also Friday afternoon is chopping and getting things ready for the Saturday work. And then there's also, after the things are baked on Saturday, later in the day, there is also usually cooling and wrapping and getting them ready to be frozen to be sold later. The benefits of it, you would think, oh, you're helping the church with their fundraiser, but actually it is much more than that. I have gotten to meet people that I have never spoken to in church before. When my daughter is there, it's much of an intergenerational bonding session, and it's been really lovely to see her talk with people she probably wouldn't have talked to before because she'd be an RE or busy doing her own teenage things. So it's a way to get to know people when your hands are occupied, so conversation flows more easily, and I've really become a treasured part for me of being a part of People's Church. What do you need to bring? Really just yourself. Some people do like to bring their own apron or their own favorite rolling pin if you're planning on being on the rolling team, but you really just have to show up with maybe a water bottle and the spirit of helping. So that's about the pasties. I'm also supposed to remind you that if you want to donate $25 to help advertise our bazaar by putting a yard sign in your yard, that is happening now. You can do that, I think, out in the outside in the foyer too. Dolores is giving me a nod. Also that it's time. Start making your crafts. Start making your delicious goodies like jam and baked goods that we can sell. You can donate to People's Church and that we can sell at the bazaar as well. My information is a little bit informal, but I promise you if you go to the website or look in one of the church newsletters, anything you need to know about pasty making, donating goodies, volunteering, getting a yard sign is on our website and in the newsletter, and you can find that information there. And there's lovely people that can answer questions for you in the hallway better than I can right now. So I hope you join in, sign up for Passy Making, just leave a little bit of room for me and Olive to do it too, because it's our favorite thing, but hope to see you there. Thank you.
At this time, I invite you to rise, embody your spirit, to breathe deeply, and to sing together. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will. One more time.
The struggle continues. The road that lies ahead of us is a long one, and the pace of progress will sometimes feel glacially slow. Never forget that glaciers over time can carve out grand canyons and great lakes. Moving tectonic plates can rise up mountains over millennia, or they can explode awe-inspiring volcanoes in milliseconds. Our commitment to love and justice can do the same.
I'd love to invite anybody up who would like to join me for a story. Hey, Soph.
Bubblegum favorite. It's from Banana.
Nice. Oh my gosh, my heart's just filling up with joy seeing so many of you guys here today. Whoa, how awesome is this? Whew. So I want to share a story with you today by Amanda Gorman, who is an amazing poet. But before I tell you the story, what I want to do is ask you a question that I don't want you to answer, but I just want you to think about while I'm telling the story. And the question is, it's a big question. What can you do to make the world a better, kinder, more peaceful place? So I just want you to ponder that while I'm telling you a story called Change Sings, and a children's anthem. This is Amanda with her guitar. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. Do you know whose picture is on this paper? Who's a picture that's a tried and true dreamer? Who? Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, she is singing along, dreaming of change. All right, turn this page. Which are a new book and they're stuck together. Whoop, bonked you in the head with the book. I am a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. They've got some instruments going on here, picking up some garbage. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mystery, I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. They're picking up a lot of garbage on this page. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I used my strength and my smarts, and I used my knee to take a stand. She's on her knee, and she's sharing some food with some people that might not have some. It does look like soup, because it's in a bowl, isn't it? It's a very, very good possibility. I'm as bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. Looks like they're coming to play some music to someone who's shut in. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. What is she doing here?
Sharing.
Yes, sharing. She's trying to encourage someone else to play along in the music with them. I don't make a taller fence. I fight to build a better bridge. It looks like, what are they making here? What are they building?
A house.
A house, a bridge, a ramp. What would someone need a ramp for?
To stay.
If they were in a wheelchair. It looks like they're building a ramp for someone who needs it in a wheelchair. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came all around the United States. I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Oh, there's like a whole band going on here now.
Almost like a marching band.
Almost like a marching band. Change sings where? There, inside of me. Because I am the change that I want to see. Looking in the mirror. Oh my gosh. What are they doing here? Picking up trash. Washing a dirty window. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm going to say that line again because I want you to think that about you. You, are just what the world needs. I am the voice where freedom rings. You are the love your bright heart brings. We are the wave starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We are the change. We are the change. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? So now I want to ask my question again. What can you do to make the world a better place? A kinder, more peaceful place?
Picking up trash.
Picking up trash. What other things can you do? What, Mara? Plant more flowers and trees. Good one. So?
Don't drive your car if it's like just close by.
If it's close by, don't drive your car if you can walk or ride your bike. That's a great one. Do you have one?
Okay.
What can you do to make a difference? Do what? Get a new one when you have to?
Get mail.
Get mail when you have to? Yep, good one. All right. How can you use your voice and your actions to help bring people together to make a positive change in the world? May? Picking up lots of litter. I love that that has kind of been a theme, because that's something you guys can do really easily. Not litter, not throw stuff on the ground. When you see stuff that's there that's not supposed to be, pick it up and take care of it. And you know what the best thing that you guys can do every single day is being kind to others. Being as kind as we possibly can, knowing that everybody is doing the best they can with what they got in the world, and how can we just be as kind as possible and give everybody, including ourselves, as much grace as we can. And that way, we can every day work to build a better world with more kindness and more justice and more love and more peace. All right, with that, we are going to go to our class. Yay!
To guide you on your way, and may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go. Go forth in peace, in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way, and may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go.
The words for this morning's offering come from Paul Dalzell. The offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. It is as much a ritual as singing together, lighting our chalice, or reciting our words of giving thanks. It is a reminder of that form of love we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. The offering will now be received. Please join me in giving thanks for all that sustains us. From the countless gifts we each have been given, gifts of life and love and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love which none of us can accomplish alone. Each Sunday, we take a moment to share with one another the joys and sorrows, concerns and milestones in our lives. If you're here in person, I invite you to come forward, put a stone in our bowl of invisible water, and speak briefly. If you're on, you can type your message into the chat box, and our AV person Reed will read it aloud when we're done here. If you would prefer not to share the details, you can simply come forward and put a stone in our bowl of invisible water, or you can type into the chat box, stone. All right. The recording will be paused to give you some measure of privacy. I'm going to place a few more stones in this bowl of real water for the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken, and for those in the community around us.
See you better. Reverend Rachel asked me if I could do something on hope. And another friend the same day asked, tell me how you find hope without delving into denial. This is my answer. Hope is ravenous. Hope, like love, is an ongoing undertaking. To say you have it is really never enough. It needs to be fed like a mother bird offering her babies what she has gathered from the world. Hope needs millions of drops of rain tap dancing repeatedly, reminding us that the sky can feed us. Hope asks us to look at petals striped with colors and gradients, so soothing to the eye, you can only be astonished such color mixing is possible. Miracles are there if you take time to notice. Hope must be nourished in impossible times. In fact, knowing the world has horror is what makes hope sparkle like a fleck of snow that catches a bit of light. Hope bids you to stop. You can hide from hope if you refuse to pause. Hope calls out like a wise ancestor saying, you do have to look. Okay, okay, I heard, you are right, you say. Sure, hope sometimes hits you with awe, like coming around the bend and confronting a glorious rainbow. However, more often you need to mine hope. You need to get quiet, look closer, breathe intentionally, do something. Hope can be generated. Sometimes that means delivering a kindness to someone who is down, or perhaps for no reason at all. Maybe bring flowers from the garden to a friend who feels lost. But before you deliver them, stare at the tiniest petal and just name the colors and textures. Red, violet, orange, smooth, rippled. When the craving for hope is rumbling, more than ever, what is called for is to reach out into community. You might need to walk down the street. You might need to come here and have a live conversation, or interact with humans or animals. Offer kindness at the grocery store, or go to the shore. It is in all those places you can find some hope and become satiated, at least for a moment. Don't think it will last. You have to keep cooking for hope. She gets lost in the news and feeling others' pain along with your own. We get so tired and hungry. It's really normal to hunger for hope. Conversely, it is your hope that might be famished. For every alarming news story you read, you will need to feed hope. For every sadness and trauma you endure, hope craves your support. It is the human ability to both hold evil and joy, laughter and mediocrity that is miraculous. Hope is available in both vast servings, like those pasties, and tiny nibbles. And sometimes hope is just knowing that under the snow, there is grass that will appear again, or a radiant sun behind the dark storm clouds. Hope is waiting for us to cherish it like a baby. Hope is waiting for us, and it needs to be fed. Hope is a baby chick peeping for nourishment. Please feed me. Please feed me. Without nursing hope, you will starve. No one wants that. You have gifts to share with this world, and we desire your love, your beauty, and talent. So please indulge hope. Our hope is depending on your nourishment.
To sing together. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. This one goes up. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Reproductive justice is more than a fight for the right to choose. It is a powerful declaration that our reproductive decisions, our decisions about our bodies, all our bodies, are inextricably linked to our collective freedom. Reproductive justice is the human right to maintain personal body autonomy. to have children, to not have children, to parent the children we do have in safe and sustainable communities. Where did the term reproductive justice come from? It's often shortened RJ in circles that talk about it a lot. In 1994, there were 12 black women who were attending this national conference that included a presentation of former President Clinton's administration on the proposed plan for universal health care reform. How many of you remember that? Remember we were going to have national health care? I know. Much to the conference participants' dismay, the plan lacked coverage for a plethora of reproductive and sexual health care services, and did so without looking at larger systemic issues impacting marginalized communities. The 12 black women in attendance at the conference became very frustrated with the pointed focus on only abortion coverage and little to no attention to the vast reproductive and sexual health concerns of black women. While the women believed abortion was an absolutely important and vital health care service to which all pregnant, capable persons needed access, they also knew that black women and people who needed reproductive or sexual health had disparities at such higher rates of maternal mortality, morbidity, higher rates of fibroids and various reproductive tract infections like HIV and AIDS and chlamydia and gonorrhea and infertility. And these 12 black women firmly believed that true health care for black women, as well as any marginalized community, needed to encompass a full range of reproductive and sexual health care, including abortion. Now, Indigenous women, women of color, and trans people have always fought for reproductive justice, and some of our beloved feminist men have joined us, and I'm so glad. But the term was invented in 1994 because the US focus was only on abortion and not in line with the rest of the planet's leading countries. The entire rest of the world agreed that the individual right to plan your own family must be central to global development. These 12 black women who gathered in Chicago in June and July of 1994 recognized that the women's rights movement, led and represented largely by white upper middle class women, could not defend the needs of women of color and other marginalized women and trans people. Rooted in the internationally accepted human rights framework created by the United Nations, reproductive justice combines reproductive rights and social justice together. Progenitors of RJ launched the movement by publishing a full-page statement with over 800 signatures in the Washington Post and other prominent places. It read, "We believe that reproductive justice is a human right. RJ is based in this United Nations internationally accepted Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a comprehensive body of law that details the rights of individuals and responsibilities of government to protect those rights. It is about access, not choice." We've been brainwashed to think it's all about this word choice. It's about access. Mainstream movements have focused on keeping abortion legal as an individual choice, and that's necessary, but not enough. And when abortion is legal, many of women of color cannot afford it, or cannot travel hundreds of miles, or cannot get off work, or cannot have childcare that's reliable. When abortion is legal, like it is here in Michigan, many of women of color still cannot afford it, or cannot get to the nearest clinic, or don't live in a community or a faith community where that is culturally acceptable. There is no choice when there is no access. It's not just about abortion. Abortion access is critical, and women of color and other marginalized women also have difficulty accessing contraception, comprehensive sex education, STI prevention and care, alternative birth options, adequate prenatal and pregnancy care, domestic and intimate partner violence assistance, adequate wages to support our families, safe homes, and so much more.
If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every woman of every nation, young and old, each generation, held her hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every man in the world down freedom, if every brother stood with brother as a sweetness for peace, if every man of every nation, young and old, each generation, held his hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation raised its children in a culture of peace, if all our sons and all our daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing to be enemies, there would be no more war.
Did I tell you I'm originally from the suburbs of Detroit? So growing up, people around me in church wore tiny baby feet on their lapels. Seemingly kind folks loved to talk about the murder of babies while drinking coffee and eating donuts after church, with a fever that I would expect from excited football fans in the fall, more than I would expect from people who still told stories of Jesus each week. They probably had some Werners and some Faygo too. The legalization or threats of abortion rarely changes what is discussed in churches regarding this topic. Churches that might be okay with abortion don't mention it. Too complicated, not polite, too messy. You might upset someone. Churches that are not okay with people controlling their own bodies push that agenda further and further away from patients and doctors, more into the hands of dominionists and Christian nationalists. Now, our faith, Unitarian Universalism, has voted numerous times to include reproductive justice as part of our business resolutions and social justice acts of witness voted on at General Assembly since 1970. At least 8 times I've counted it's been included. It might be more. Reproductive justice, often shortened to RJ, is defined as the human right to maintain personal body autonomy, to have children, to not have children, and to parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. You can see with that definition that it includes people of every age, right? Because we all want to live in safe and sustainable communities. And I think at every age there are issues of body autonomy that come up for us. While Michigan is very, very lucky to be in a very liberal legal situation, that doesn't mean that everyone has access to abortion, nor that they live in a family, attend a church, or exist in a culture where their options are encouraged. With this current election, we're also hearing a whole lot about how even that right could be changed nationally, depending on the regime of one candidate. Nor should the push to change hearts and minds slow just because abortion is accessible in this state. Today, I hope to compel you with an understanding of what these 5 tenets of reproductive justice are in order for you to work and understand what to do today and every day forward to achieve reproductive justice. We are at a pivotal moment in history. Following the Supreme Court's 2022 decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, the landscape of abortion has dramatically shifted. Without basic federal legal protections around abortion access, which were frankly never enough to begin with, there was never enough access. States across the country have created a whole patchwork of bans and regulations on abortion. As of last month, 14 states have a total abortion ban, and 27 states have abortion bans based on gestational duration, and a whole host of other silly things. We've seen time and time again that abortion bans and restrictions harm Black communities, Indigenous communities, people of color, poor people of all cultures and races, and working class communities the most. This new era of reproductive health rights and justice demands that we dream boldly and we act urgently. Those 12 women set us on a course to really understand abortion is about so much more than choice. It's about us changing culture and access and in building an environment where people can truly plan their families, whether having or not having children will happen in whatever way they feel fit. Why talk about this at church, Rev D? Why is this a spiritual issue? Without jobs that are supportive of families and paying living wages and benefits, without reliable, trusted, quality health care, housing, child care, choice is a total misnomer. Do you really have a choice if all of those are not aligned? If people's decisions are constricted by access to funds, luck, geography, an invasion of privacy, what choice is there? In the new UUA Article 2 Values and Covenant, it reads, as Unitarian Universalists, we covenant congregation to congregation and through our association to one another to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. For me, we are using reason, courage, and building on that foundation of love when we find ways to be bold, to say we are in favor of all those tenets of reproductive justice, to do things to show our neighbors, students, friends, and family that we support, and we're ready to analyze the power systems at play. We understand that reproductive politics in the US is based on gendered, sexualized, and racialized acts of dominance that occur on a daily basis. RJ works to understand and eradicate these nuanced dynamics. When working on as an abortion chaplain, I had thought, like right when I started, that I would help people weighing their options to have a child or not. That's what they tell you, right? That's what they tell you happens in clinics. I was totally wrong. Completely wrong. Not only were tons of people there who wanted to complete a pregnancy but could not for one health reason or another, there were so many people there seeking abortions because they felt they had no choice. They had no money to buy more food, more clothes, or to get another child to school, or to put another child through daycare. I imagine that's because 75% of people seeking abortions are already low income. One way you can help people access abortions is to contribute regularly to the Abortion and Body Autonomy Fund you have here in Kalamazoo, which is an awesome fund. So many seek abortions struggle to find childcare that feels safe and reliable for the children that they have. Many of my friends are paying $2,600 a month for their childcare. How do you keep adding more children and paying more? Reproductive justice says that having reliable childcare is part of what reproductive justice aims to achieve. So to achieve that, we must address intersecting oppressions, because remember our Audre Lorde, the Lord you should always quote. There is no such thing as a single issue struggle because we do not live single issue lives. Marginalized women face multiple oppressions, and we can win freedom by addressing how they impact one another. I remember one woman who sought my counsel at the clinic was told by her partner, "Do not come home without an abortion." He threatened to keep food from her if she came back pregnant and to kick her out of the home. For her, hunger and violence felt far more immediate with what she was wrestling with. That great combination haunted her, and it felt bigger at the moment than the cells that were multiplying in her womb. RJ asks us to center the most marginalized. Our society will not be free until the most vulnerable people are able to access the resources and full human rights to live self-determined lives without fear, discrimination, or retaliation. I remember this one teenage girl I met at the clinic. She was in foster care. Her foster care mom brought her in because she was pregnant again. She learned at the clinic that she had a severe kidney infection and she needed emergency care they couldn't offer at the clinic. She needed to go to a hospital. The clinic staff came running to get me. Get Rev D, get Rev D. She was refusing to go to the hospital. Now walking into the room, I had my imagination going again. I was imagining her stressing about a decision to have an abortion or not. And once again, I was wrong. That was not the case at all. The doctor went in there with me and explained what was going on, and the girl started to weep. I jumped into action with my magical Kleenex box. And the girl had so many fears. She thought she must have caused the kidney infection from drinking soda pop. She said she drank lots of soda pop. The doctor assured her this was not why she had a kidney infection. Women who seek abortions are more than 3 times as likely to be poor. 49% are poor, while the national poverty rate is only at about 12%. This girl, like 59% of women who seek abortions, already are mothers. Now I'm looking at this beautiful child. She's what, 13, 14, 15? She tells us she has a baby in the clinic waiting room. And she shares that her fears are worse because she only has 1 kidney. And she thinks she will die. The doctor's very compassionate, telling her she will not die if she goes to the hospital and gets the medicine she needs. She tells me she cannot go to the hospital if she does, because if she does die, she has not been to church lately. And if she dies, she will leave her baby alone and she will go to hell because she has not been able to get to church. Wait a minute. You're afraid you're going to go to hell because you haven't been to church. Yes, she nods. Now, we're in a state at that moment that had legal abortion. So it wasn't about the legalization. See what I mean? I said, okay. I said, we could take care of that issue right now. I said, do you want to pray? Yes. I said, I can get a message to God right now. We can take care of that. And in a scene that my partner told me to cut out of this sermon because it got too long, there was a real miracle that happened. And luckily, my prayers united with her and the foster mom in a way that were enough to keep her feel safe. That she went to the hospital, and she got the care she needed, and she got well. And then later, she came back, and she did get an abortion. To achieve reproductive justice, we must join together on issues across identities. See, all oppressions impact our reproductive lives. RJ is simply a human rights issue seen through the lens of the nuanced ways oppression impacts self-determination in family creation or not. The intersection of RJ is both an opportunity and it's frankly a call. It's a call to us to come together as one movement with the power to win freedom for all oppressed people. When I think of that girl, and I tell you, I think of her so much in that clinic, she needed that care not just for the abortion that she needed. She needed her kidney infection to be caught by the clinic because she wasn't getting other health care other places. We needed her to live so that she could mother the child she had. She needed that whole network of care to get those options in order to live. And so did her baby, who I later met in the waiting room. Living in foster care with a child at such a young age was likely to leave her with a lifetime of poverty. Having one less child gave her more hope. Gave her more hope for the future. We have hope for her health. In fact, abortion is one way to pull people up from entering a lifetime of poverty. Women denied abortion are more likely than women who receive an abortion to experience economic hardship and insecurity that lasts years and years. Laws that restrict abortion often result in worsened economic outcomes for women, which affects every single one of us. Laws that limit birth control, body autonomy, think of our trans and non-binary friends, most impact the poor and the vulnerable people the most. And keep in mind when you're thinking of these laws that at least 8% of people seeking abortion are children. Many come from faiths that claim their social justice principles work to give preferential options for the poor, and yet they are of the people wearing the tiny baby footprints on their lapels. According to the Grummacher Institute, state legislative activity in the first half of 2024 included attacks on reproductive justice, care for young people, restrictions on contraceptive access, and criminalization of pregnancy outcomes. I have friends that are part of networks that are flying people out of states where it is illegal to get them to states where it's legal, and we know that people are dying. We know that people are dying because they are not getting the care they need. Harms caused by these attacks, compounded by total abortion bans in the 14 states and the early gestational bans enforced in 7 states, those would have all been unconstitutional under Roe v. Wade. I encourage every one of us to use reproductive framework as a lens to guide you every day. How can you make a difference in those human rights, and what can you address in your life, in your organizing, your voting, your letter writing? We, as Unitarian Universalists, we are the people the world needs to share our body positivity, our good attitudes about sexual health and reproductive health, and that positivity with others. We need to tell everybody about how cool our faith is. Yeah, that's right. I think you should tell people. People need to know this is our faith. Invite them to make pasties with you. We are looking at a 16-year battle. I just heard this from the director of Planned Parenthood. I got to hear her speak on Friday, a week ago Friday. She says it's going to take at least 16 years to possibly get a new law in place that was like Roe. And that's if we keep the pedal pushed all the way to the floor, doing everything we can. Our work as Unitarian Universalists has to continue to address reproductive justice and body autonomy. You cannot forget about it just because you think you're safe here. You might not be safe with what's going to happen nationally. Respect for body, for healthy hearts, minds, it's core principles of reproductive justice. And think of our OWL curriculum, our way that we profess about religious freedom. Tell your neighbors this is what you're about. Maybe it'll plant an idea in a family that just thinks you should just keep having all of those babies, even if you're raped, even if you're molested, even if there's incest in your family. Because that's going on in Michigan, I promise you. Lack of access to health insurance and health care plays a role in who has abortions, as does racism and discrimination. Ponder, too, that abortion rates have been decreasing over the last 2 decades, which is directly correlated to access to contraception. There's a big push to make it illegal to male contraception, right? That's how most abortions are happening right now, is through pills. Other countries that have living wages and medical care and socialized medicine and affordable health care and education, they all also have minimal abortions and minimal children put up for adoption. The foster program isn't needed to be that big when you have that network there supporting all those other options. All of those systems create true choice. The idea that we are asking people with uteruses to drive or fly all over to get care is bananas. That's the nicest word I can say for it. Over and over at the clinic, I would hear people say, "Thank you, God, for giving me this care." A lot of people believe in God at that moment. These are all complex situations. The focus on whether fertilized cells should be called life totally distracts us from creating a moral world in which to raise children in. Making a person with a uterus nothing but a vessel robs that person of any autonomy or free will over their own destiny. Having a child and raising it, that's a moral issue that we trust people for in our faith. We trust them. Our faith calls us to make this world safe and just for that child to live. And anyone facing a moral decision deserves support and love, right? Right? Yeah. Gotta make sure you're awake. I'm gonna expect more in the next lines. Whether or not they want to be a parent has no resonance. It's an unacceptable, even violent way to approach the interconnected web by dismissing that. So will you share your time? Yes. Will you get more educated? Yes. Will you share your learnings with others? Yes. Are you ready to be bold and advocate? Yes. Yes. Will you fight? Yes. Will you contribute, write, and pressure the media to do different kinds of stories with better language? Yes. Will you march, act on what our faith calls us to do? Yes. Will you side with love? Yes. Will you join me? Yes. Amen.
One last time, I invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our closing song together. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. And there is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Earlier, I shared that faith will either be a hindrance or a help to individuals facing violence. It will not be neutral. I ask you to not be neutral. Don't focus on whether fertilized cells or life are life or not. That distracts us from creating a moral world to raise our children in. Abortion is complex. Child rearing is complex. Fighting for democracy is essential. My aim is to love people into finding their own voice, their own way, and I'm asking you to join me. That is how our faith asks us to side with love. So I ask you, will you join me and side with love? Yes, amen. Go in peace.